Hello! I bumped the camera. Okay, where to start? Let's get this cleaned up. Sandpaper. Say something weird happened to this? But yes, something weird actually did happen. There. Gotta reglue that. There we go. I think it broke during curing. Aries Studios, thank you for the resub. How you doing today? I'm okay. Had a rough night, but I'm okay. Still sounding good and clear? Attention on aisle K, attention on aisle K, bot. Two of them. Thank you. Yeah, the mix I'm listening to now is the one that dropped yesterday from Evil Sound. Their mixes vary from day to day. Sometimes they'll be like a heavy, like synth. Other times they'll be like imitation speed metal. Yeah, we haven't really had bots on Twitch in a long time as far as those kinds of bots. I think Twitch fixed that. Gonna have to put my finger on this. I'm having one of those weird motor control days again. Okay, so another thing I'm going to be making, and it'll be a real quick thing, I hope, is a mounting plate for the spare tire that goes here. Got a good picture I want to base all my stuff on. I just want to make sure I can have the turret rotate if I need to. So about like that. And all it is a plate with two metal rods on it that go through the holes for the lug studs. However, before I get to that, I need to paint one more little detail on this while we have it out. Oh, and I did clear coat the model too, which tied all the colors down, tightened it up a little bit. But look how that anti-slip texture looks. Come on, autofocus. Are you having internet trouble, or am I? Because it just says you left. Or did you just leave Twitch is all? Okay. Don't we all? Oh, wait, you weren't talking about that. So what I want to start with on this mounting plate is we'll put the rods through to make sure I've got the right depth and a good alignment, where if I try it otherwise I'm going to screw it up a lot. If I can get my stretch sprue going. There we go. Just gonna put a small dab of super glue where I want it to stop. Okay, you fit through the hole before. Oh, that's right. Because I went the other way. There's one. Okay, we'll cut that even with the bottom. And of course it's still wiggling around. Might have to reglue that. See, that one went fine. This one, I think the glue kicked off before I got it in. Hey, Major Havoc, how you doing? I'm alright. Had a tad rough night last night. But things are shaping up. We're we're quickly fabricating a faux tire mount for the LAV. Actually, where did it go? Aha! I think it's just a piece of, yeah, piece of C-channel. And that keeps it away from the hull a little bit. Yeah, this will be easy. Now, I know that I've got people that like to lurk. Periodically, just using an emote or something. There's some changes coming to Twitch where even lurkers might get dinged as bots because you're not active. So, just letting you know ahead of time. I think they're trying to crack down on viewbotting. Should I make this larger? No, we're good. I'm just gonna put some super glue on it, call it good. Wait, what the hell? Again? You know what, we're just gonna start fresh. Do you fit? No. That's better. But I'm here. Next week, Sunday through Wednesday, is when I'll be taking my little 4-day off sojourn from work. And in that time, I want to prep myself to be up at like... I'm going to basically have my work schedule still in terms of the hours that I get up. But in that, I just want to see if I can do like a 7 to 3 style broadcast schedule, right? And see how difficult that is for me to kind of maintain. Or at least minimum 7 to noon. You know, a good 5-hour stretch. Kind of like back during lockdown, how I was on more because I could be. I want to see if even over that 4 days and the time frame triggers a change in notice or interaction. And if that does, I really need to pressure myself to enact more of a change. Just like that. Because all my analytics between Twitch and YouTube all claim that my busiest viewer area is between 6 and noon. Like, that's when most people are looking at my stuff and watching my shorts and things like that. So I figure if I can get in there you know, get a little bit more motivated, get off my ass. It's okay if I'm a little sloppy on this. One, most of it's going to be hidden, and two, it's going to get dusty as hell. Did a lot of you find it easier to watch when I was on from, you know, 6 or 7 in the morning before? Because I know for a lot of the European viewership, it puts it right at the beginning of the afternoon. There we go. Earlier in the day, but at the time that most people would be off work. I'm going to put a little bit of super glue along this tool here. And then on the top corners of these. Because I don't know exactly where the tire is touching. I just know that it is. A bit of accelerator. It's too high. Fuck. Well, that just fucked that all up, didn't it? Note to self, have the turret rotated and in place before mounting tire. Like that. But it seems like I can just rely on this, because it was touching the model. Alright. Second try. But a bit lower. There we go, that's better. And I'm using a picture of a real LAV for what I'm doing, so I'm going to kind of copy a lot of its stowage, modifying what I've got, at least on this side of the vehicle. I don't have a picture of the other side, but I think I actually might, but I'm not sure. Okay, let's get some of our DCU colored bed rolls going. I know I want at least 2 of these. I know that it'll hold glue okay. Let's see how well paint bonds to them. So for the base of my DCU camo, I'm using Tamiya Wooden Deck Tan, which has a warmer, slightly pinkish tone that the base sand color in the DCUs had. I know it sounds weird, but it did have a little bit of a pink hue to it. And then the secondary color was almost like this, but mixed with a slight gray-green. And then it had a darker, mahogany thin striping to it. The only thing I dislike about using the same 4 sets like this is all the parts have the exact same wrinkles and folds and creases. Something's not right. Is chat not working? It is on... There it goes. Okay. It was just acting very strange. You're okay, Aries. I just wanted to make sure the repeater was working. Feeling very paranoid today. where did my English uniform brown go? There it is. So have you worked on your YF-19 more? You will. You were getting back into the groove of it the other night, I could tell. Let's at least paint all 4 of these. I don't know if we'll have the tires mounted today. I'd like to, but I want to at least get the dusting started, but that means I've got to finish up all of the stowage first. Because the one thing I despise is trying to match weathering. Thanks, George. And again, as a reminder on the YouTube side, they've changed their algorithm as well, so like, comment, or subscribe actually means something now, where before it was kind of eh. Okay, whoop. All those dry. I need to work on adapting this to fit right here. And for the most part it does, except right over that last suspension tower right there. Because basically, if you look, that's your strut top. So I'm just going to take an X-Acto knife, or maybe even just a half-round file, and knock out a little bit right in there, just to conform it a little bit. Where did my files go? We're just using a rather coarse half round on both sides. Not exactly a riffler or rat tail file, but close enough. Just a little bit more. Actually, I think the top's okay, but since it's angled, I'm going to take out the underside of it a little bit and match the angle of the part. Lot closer, but still a little more. And this is just a leftover from one of the reissues of the Tamiya or Academy vehicle sets. I think I got this with one of the Tamiya M113s back in the day, one of their Desert Storm, Desert Shield ones. You know what, not perfect, but how can I adjust that? Actually, I can just file these nubs for the straps down, and it'll look like they're carrying up underneath and attaching to those there. Hey, Eddie! Thank you. She's far from finished, but we're getting there. Sandpaper, where'd I put you? There you are. Yeah, we're actually at one of the more what's the word I'm looking for? This is the stage that actually takes up much more time than building it. Because you're trying to put all the stowage on and make it look like it belongs to it, and it's not just glued onto the side. Yeah, see? I just trimmed those down. Looks like they're tucked up underneath, like they attached them there, brought them up top. But the picture I've got has a bundle that looks exactly like that, right there. Alright, I'll show you. Of course, my phone wants to be a pain in the ass. No, I'm not copying this exact vehicle, but it is the inspiration for stowage at least. So there's that. I'm not going to put this on there because I do have a piece that fits that, but I've got another picture where this is actually under the exhaust right here. And it fits that part perfectly as far as what I saw in the picture. So I want to use that over here. Okay, and then the Warlock antenna needs some more paint on it, but that'll sit there. And I'll have to glue that on before I'm finished with the stowage. Okay. What color did I want to use for this? I'm going to use the same wooden color as I did for those. It just won't be camouflaged. Oh, they still do. Hey, ACF. I'm doing okay. Yeah, I saw that. Thank you. It's going okay. Trying our best, you know. I'm trying to get all this stowage at least base painted and detailed before I attach it to the vehicle and dirty it up to fit. Yeah, that is all we can do. I'm thinking after this, I've got two options I kind of want to explore for a scale subject after I'm done with this one. I've got a striker mine clearing vehicle. So it's basically an 1126 with a adjustable mine plow on the front. Or an 1151 Humvee. That dry over there. Okay. This I can paint green, since I know what I'm doing with that. The wheels I'm using are 3D printed. I printed them at home, I didn't buy them off the internet. I bought the files. So, come on, autofocus. There we go. I still have yet to find a layer line, which means I might have to start bumping my layers down in the future. It just takes longer to print when you do that. It might be Major Havoc. It's a more recent vehicle. I don't normally do sand vehicles, but this might be a challenge. There is an option to do the NATO 3-color camouflage for it, but doing a sand Humvee for a change might be good. But I'm also thinking of doing another LAV. It would be either the C2, so the command one, or it would be the mortar carrier. I'm leaning more towards the mortar carrier since one, it's not seen as often, and two, I've never done one before. It would also have more of an interior, so I could dress that up and make it look better. It's the Academy 1151. If I do that, I will be 3D printing wheels for it as well. The kit wheels aren't terrible, but they're a 2-piece plastic affair for the treaded portion. And I don't like how round it is on the profile. And the same guy who did these wheel files also does a set of wheels for Humvees with those tires. GR1. I've heard the latest Revell Germany offering is an absolute shit show. Okay, well, I've got this green. Let me get these packs painted up here. Like, for what scale are you going to be working in? I was going to say, if you're doing 72nd, then I would get the Hasegawa kit. You might even be able to find a kit in the markings and camo scheme that you're planning on to save you a little bit of difficulty. Hey Davos, how you doing? Good to see everybody here today. 48 scale. Didn't Hobby Boss recently do? I do not like how the paint's reacting to these. At least this color on these. And I know there was 2 to 3 different sizes of Alice pack. We're gonna go with the Tamiya ones on this, I think, because the other thing I don't like is how blobby it is. Hobby Boss's Tornado is the Revell tooling? No, just Revell's latest Tornado that they did. They tried to do what AMK did on their F-14, and they made the wings, like, incredibly detailed. And I heard it does build okay, but the wing assembly is a right pain in the ass. At least AMK, when they did the F-14... when they did the F-14, they gave you the option of doing swept wing, extended wing, and then if you so chose to torture yourself, which I did, you could do the wings with the flaps down, the slats forward, and all the airfoils opened up like it's doing a pre-flight check. And I just liked all the details it offered, so I did that on mine. Still not finished yet. It's in the decaling phase, though. Yeah, we're just taking it easy, and I'm slogging through the stowage on this thing. But yeah, I'd see if Hobby Boss has done a 48 scale Tornado GR1 and see what they offer. Either them or... did Kinetic do one? Now you've got me wondering, and I've got a moment because I'm waiting on shit to dry. So, What's your price point? I mean, there's always the Italeri one, but I've heard it's extremely... you know? It's a very old mold. Because Italeri did do a GR1 Gulf War boxing. They've actually re-released it. It's looks like 35 euros. Comes with the shark mouth scheme. Something else with yellow hair. I can't make it out on the scan here. But it's got the oh, Trifid Airways. Okay. I kind of got to say I got to like that. Day of the Triffids is a very well-known series. Then there's the Armored Charmer. Now here's a neat one. The Saudi Sword, and it's in a sand, tan, and green camo. Never seen that before. But you're specifically wanting to do the pink. I've heard the Italeri kit's not terrible, but it's not the best. But outside of that, it looks like Revell and Italeri are the only way to go in that scale. Nobody else is even popping one up as making one in that scale. I just put in 148 Tornado GR1. So yeah, you can torture yourself with the Revell one, or you can do the meh and try and, you know, silk purse into a Sausier into a silk purse. Wow, I am talking backwards today, aren't I? I know if you were to go to 72nd scale, there's a lot more options between Hasegawa, Revell, Italeri, and I think even Fujimi. Both kits have their ups and downs. The most recent Italeri reissue at least has 3 schemes in the Desert Pink that would save you on a lot of decals. One moment, please. Gonna put up the pause screen. It's time for a stretch break anyway, so everybody get up and stretch. Now you see, that's a good idea. Okay. I could do more off the model on this, but I think I'll wait, because a lot of what I need to do is going to be involved on weathering as well. Okay. So... you're going to tuck right up in there. I'm looking for a good 48 scale P51 from the 352nd. The blue-nosed the blue-nosed bastards of Bodney. Let's do... I need to mix the color for this. So it was this. And I need field gray. That is not field gray. There it is. Because I believe if I can get a 50-50 on these, I'll be able to make the mid-color pretty close. Yeah. Actually, while I shake this up, let's give all these rucksacks here a wash of black. I know it sounds weird, but this stuff goes on thin and dries thinner. And then we'll be able to go back over and pop out the details. So, outside of Tamiya, who's making the best 48 scale P51 right now? I heard it was actually Airfix. Because I built their 72nd scale one long ago, but it never got finished. A little kitty cat decided to play with it. She didn't know better. But from what I remember, all the panel lines were tight, and all of the seam lines for parts breakdown were actually along natural lines, whereas like the Tamiya one, there's a vent on the lower cowling where Tamiya puts a seam right through it, where Airfix actually went around it. And I heard the 48 scale one was not exactly an upscale of their 72nd scale one, but you could definitely tell the idea was there. Now the question is, does Airfix do the 48 scale P51 with blue nose markings? And where the hell can I find it in the US? Because I can't even get their God, what's that thing that's out now? I've got one sitting over here. Not the Saracen. They just released it. People were complaining about sink marks on it. Oh. Stalwart. Nugget got it exactly when I did, yeah. So, I'd like to build their Stalwart, too. That's a pretty straight up, well-presented model. Open. Alright, I need pliers. Hi, Mittens! Don't worry about Arnie, he's just sleeping under the table. He's still alive. Well, from what I've seen, most of the sink marks are in places that would be either hidden by the canvas top. So the sink marks that I've seen are inside the cargo bed, where if you use the canvas top, you're not going to see them. And the main ones on the front, below the 3 windows, are covered by the swimming vane anyway, the trim vane. So a lot of the sink marks are even hidden. Yeah, ejector pin marks I'm not too worried about. Every kit has them, not much you can do about them. Okay, that's a bit too light, but I can always add a bit more of the green to it. Actually, that's going to dry darker, so we'll leave it just as it is. Okay, I will be off chat for a second, because I need to look at this pattern. Where did it go? There. It looks like I can just be wibbly wobbly, bibbly blobbly, however I want on these. Alright. Chat's open back up. Because I've actually seen some build-ups of the Stalwart now, and I kind of want one. It's a sharp model, you know, it looks really nice when it's done upright. Hey, Aries. Why is he saying peekaboo? Yeah, that's what I've seen. Like, you can even, well, look out. You can build the entire cabin roof and leave it separate and just click it into place when you're ready. And honestly, having seen a few real Stalwarts myself, where the sink marks are on the front could also easily pass as dents. They were not treated kindly. Yeah, seeing how that's drying, I nailed those colors. They'll turn up just right when I go to give them their wash and highlighting and weathering and dirtying. I don't want to use too many of these big things, as they're... Sometimes you'll see them all over the vehicles, and sometimes you'll just see one or two. This doesn't have a bottom on it, so it's going to go in the rear. So, Aries, did you get those cheese-filled hot dogs earlier? Tamiya olive drab out. Actually, no. There was another color I wanted to use for these. That's right, Army olive drab. Because the jerry can I have out in my shed and the 20 mil ammo cans I have in my shed are all they're more of a brown drab color than green. I know that makes absolutely no sense. They're not this... Wait, no. They're not this olive drab. They're this one. It's got a browner tone to it. And I know I'm using mission models. Their paints have really been hit or miss for me, but in this case, we'll go for it, because they're going to get battered up anyway. And it's the only thing I got that matches. Is everybody having a nice weekend, though? I swear, Aries, if you say meh, I'm gonna ban you for a day. Where did I put my blue tack? There it is. Let's get some more Snoozak going. Ooh, very nice. Why is it not playing? Oh, it's just taking forever. Okay, let's pick something else. This one's being a bit strange. We'll give it a minute still. So the kit came with some of these that you could build to bolt to the hull. Really? I didn't like how they looked. So I'm just going with ones I've had in my spares for a long time that actually do fit better as far as how they look. They're gonna go in the same spot, but I like the definition, I like how they're formed a bit better. Just call it personal stupidity. Looks like the big ones are done. Let me pop these off of here, clean them up, touch up the spot, and then we'll get the smaller brown markings on. We'll see about putting those on too. It's been a while since I've actually done a vehicle with stowage in this scale. So if anyone else has this kit, we did find out this stuff will glue with model cement. Whatever they made that out of will glue with model cement. At least the stuff I use. What is Sufobot? Yeah, this color almost matches perfectly. Okay, liner brush. There we go. Let's clean that off. Hey, Flight Sim. And for those who have been on the stream for a while from the Twitch side, we are also on YouTube and Kick now, so if you want to join in over there, feel free. As usual on those, follows are free on Kick and subs are free on YouTube. It would mean a lot though, because I'm trying to get those two channels up and going better. I'm just trying to make sure I'm painting this pattern right. I haven't actually seen DCU in person in a very long time. I could throw something really, really odd in. I could do up one more of these, and just for giggles, put it in the old chocolate chip pattern. So Nugget, how was that, Victor? I haven't heard anything bad about it, but like with anything on the internet these days, I wouldn't mind a feedback from somebody who's built it that's not being paid to build it, you know? Bye, Eddie. Okay, well, some of these dry. Can barely see the lines. We're gonna make some sea rat containers. Basically MRE boxes. I've had kits like that where the problems are more caused by builder error than they are by the actual kit. And then I've had kits where I see all these professionals lambaste it, yet I'll build it, and it's like, what were they on when they did it? Because I had no trouble. That's good, and that's what really counts, you know? Did you enjoy building it? I'm sure everybody here knows who Ace Model from Ukraine is, right? They did a lot of low pressure injection molding stuff. I think they still do. But their kits aren't for everybody. They require a bit of patience and some odd skills to accomplish. Thing is, I've enjoyed every one of their models that I've built. I remember back in the 90s, and we're talking like 91, 92 here, right? I used to take paper bags that my parents would get shopping at Publix, and I would actually cut them to make these boxes. Like, I had the pattern down in my head where I could just draw it out and cut it. They do a lot of World War II stuff, but they do some modern stuff. Their older kits were very rough, but they were the only ones that were doing certain subjects and certain scales. They had a T90 out before anybody else did in 72nd scale. You know, and they're almost strictly 72nd scale. But they do a lot of like the soft skins. They do the Panhard ABL 90. They did the VBL before anybody did in 72nd scale. But it's the low pressure injection molding that they use that really, it made their models rough. You could tell, like, if you got one of their first runs of the model, it was beautiful. If you got one of the later runs, you were pulling your hair out. Actually, let me go. I've got one of their newer ones. Where did I put it? I could have sworn I had it on the surface right here. And funny enough, it's a stalwart. Where did I put it? Give me just a second. Here we go. And again, keep in mind, this is one of their newer kits that they've tooled up. They finally started using CAD design on the kit. And I'm not even halfway through building it. And this is made, I think, in the last 10 years. When was this made? I know it was in the last 10 to 11 years. So, but this is actually one of their more detailed kits. But, and this is just with very little cleanup. But the surface detail they managed to get is quite impressive. If I remember right, I could have even left floor plates off here. And I haven't done the interior yet because I'm figuring out what I can put in, what I can leave out. But I'll show you the sprues, kind of so you can see what the detail's like on the sprue. And this again is one of their cleaner kits. But you can see there's flash, and it's a little blobby here and there, but overall it's pretty good. Yeah, you can see the flash on the trim vane there. There's the seats. But I may actually finish this soon if I can't get the Airfix kit. I think that's why I pulled it back out, because I was looking at it and thinking, can I make this pop a little bit somehow? I want to look for some that are in civilian use and see what I can do differently. Sorry, just getting a second to get my shit back. And this one's interesting is that it's got markings for one in German use. But they're not bad kits, they just need a little more patience. But anyway, I was getting back to how I used to do stuff in the 90s. And this is back before the internet, so as a young teenager, you know, hitting 13, 14, stuff like that, you didn't really know a lot about Verlinden. There were model clubs around, but they weren't, you know, well-known clubs or anything like that. We knew about IPMS through Fine Scale Modeler, so I'd been to a couple nationals by that point. but without having ready access to Verlinden stuff, and there was no internet, the mail order catalogs were iffy at best if you could trust them. So I would just get some Fimo dough, which is, you know, Sculpey at the time. I would actually sculpt my own stowage and then throw it in the oven, and I actually had fun doing it that way back then. And I would get paper bags from the grocery store and make cardboard boxes. I'd have a template prepared and draw it out and go from there. Oh, that's why you're all gooped up. Sometimes I wish I could go back to that mindset and how I did things. No reason I can't. And maybe that's kind of what 3D printing's doing for me now. You know, yeah, I can get all these things off of eBay by, you know, DEF model and things like that. The production runs are limited, and honestly, nowadays the cost is prohibitive. Because for a set of wheels for this thing, say, for 8 wheels and the spare, and that's just the wheels through, say, DEF or Panzer Art, you're looking at $30 to $40. And then you gotta wait a week to get them, if at least a week. A lot of people, myself included these days, kind of lose interest in the subject once too much time has gone by that you've had to wait on things. But being able to buy the files for $15 and then turn around and print out a full set in 3 hours, that is a game changer, I think. And it would be neat if more companies started taking advantage of that. And you don't have to worry, like decals. I got a friend who wants some decals for a C-130 he's working on. He can't get them anymore because the company doesn't make them anymore. Just like on these resin sets, company stops making them, you're kind of shit out of luck to find them once the market's dried up. Whereas now with the 3D files, I can go and print off however many I need. So I think it's great, and you know, people always wonder, is 3D printing going to change the modeling industry? I think so. Not because there's companies throwing kits out there that are 3D printed, but now I don't have to wait for somebody to make and cast it. I can go online and search and say, oh, okay, this guy on CG Trader has them. He just earned my money. Hey Yankee, how you doing? Come on, sit down properly. There we go. But sometimes when it comes to model building, I wish I had... I wish I had the ignorance I had back then. And I don't mean that as a bad thing, but just the ability to see the subject for what it was and not be worried about the perfection of it sometimes. Alright, which way is up on this? I don't know how many more of these boxes I'm going to do, but I'm probably going to wait till a bit later to do more of them. I want to get more of this stuff glued to the outside. Another thing I might try is have one open and I can get some AVs out, some 2-part putty, and actually make what looks like small MRE pouches to put in them. And just have one opened up with a few of the pouches showing. Okay, where's the 20 ml can with no bottom? There it is. We'll stick you. And we're gonna have to put you right in the middle, aren't we? You don't want to fit any other way. Okay, like that. That can go there. I could really leave one out if I wanted to. We'll figure out where that one goes later. For now, I want to get these two glued on. I might have to print out some more stuff. I need to find a boombox and an igloo cooler. You're gonna go here. What was that brand that was always in the BX that sold like the little shitty ass CD players that you could slap like 5 D cells into, like Iowa, I think it was. And no matter where you went, everybody had like a little Iowa CD player boombox combo. I need to find one of those, and we'll throw it up on top here somewhere, because there's going to be a crew sitting on top of it too. trying to remember the brand. I think it was Iowa. Let me see. Just trying to get an idea of the look of it so I know what I'm looking for when I go look for STL files. Plus, they always came in some kind of gaudy color, so I could add some color to the model with that, too. One of these would actually go pretty well right here. Or not, because it's blocking the vision port. Back here. Idea! Okay, why is that there? I'm gonna create a weak point between the two and see if I can bend them a little bit to conform some more. I don't want to snap it, but I don't have enough individual bags to do it with either. Okay. I hope everybody's having a decent... Okay, we just snapped it in half. That's fine, too. Okay. Which means I can actually glue it together at the right angle and then futz around with it. Okay. We're on to something here. Yeah, I like that idea. But yeah, I need to print out at least some kind of drink cooler, the boombox. I've got some water bottles, some plastic water bottles I can put on top, so that's not a big deal there. Okay, is that at the right angle now? Better. I don't like that it blocks the vision ports, but what can I do? That is better, though. thanks again to everybody who's been following or subbing on any of the channels. It is really appreciated. Let's throw... Actually, I'm going to throw a little bit of super glue on the back here and then kick it, so that way it retains the shape. Then we can throw some paint on it. Okay, I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Get these two back out here and that one. Going back through my pictures again. I'm also seeing a lot of them with some kind of panel right here. Can't figure out what it is though. This one I'm going to leave as is for now. We'll get that glued on. Where are you going, Arnie? Huh? Sorry, if you see me just staring at the screen a lot, it means I'm scrolling through pictures looking for better ideas for where to put certain bits. And I'm trying to suppress a lot of yawns. I might need to slam a Mountain Dew or something here. There's another one with a tan pouch, okay. Alright, so one of these could go right there. It's actually not really a bad spot for it, so yeah, we're gonna do that. And I'm trying to find just a good balance of enough to give it that weighted down shit everywhere look that these actually had, and not overdo it. wish there was more stuff that would conform around the corners, because it's showing like big bundles here too. I just don't like flat gluing that on the corner. And this is why back in the day I'd sculpt my own stuff too. I'd stick the Fimo dough on it and then use whatever I had at hand to actually put the wrinkles and stuff in it. Might have to go back to that. I really don't want to use a lot of the Alice packs on the hull. They don't really set right. Maybe we could put another one of these here. I don't know, what do y'all think? And I just dropped it on the floor. Where did it go? There it is. Wow, the camouflage worked. It disappeared right into my carpet. I actually did it live in the last VOD Major Havoc on YouTube. You can go watch it. It should still be up on Twitch as well. But basically, a little bit of this. And one of these. Just take some Mr. Surfacer, you know, get it on the tip of the brush, and then just start stippling. And then you'll feel it get sticky and pull. When it starts pulling as you lift it off, that's when you know it's at the right thickness and doing the right texture. I did it fairly early on in the VOD too, so if you want a more detailed visual on how I did it, that's where it is. I'm gonna put this over here. Yeah, it's real easy to do. If you don't have access to Mr. Surfacer, another way you could do it, but it's more risky, just use model glue. All you got to do is use the liquid cement, tap the brush in it, you know, just to get it on the brush, and then not enough to like flood the model, but enough to make the brush react with the plastic. And that gets it sticky as well and does it. I just like the Mr. Surfacer because if you don't get it right, you can kind of reverse it by using a Q-tip and a little bit of Tamiya lacquer thinner. Something a bit more plastic friendly. I'm going to glue the antenna on now because I feel like if I don't, I'm going to do something stupid where I won't be able to. The way I did the anti-slip is actually the same way I do the cast texture on Machine and Krieger. So here's another thing. Let me throw this towards you guys. So not only did these come in two different sizes, they came in canvas OD green, nylon OD green, and nylon BDU, woodland pattern. I might throw a couple of these up with the woodland pattern on them, just to give it that much more contrast. Actually, before before I even go and do that, let me get these off, because these are going to fill in some space too. I totally forgot I painted these. I'm having one of those days. I've also got a couple duffel bags I can throw on too, so space is really going to fill up on this. I may not even use the Alice packs, simply because by the time this version rolled out here, with the wider tires and everything, these were no longer used. The Alice program had been terminated. So let's get these over here, but let's get some duffel bags over here. They're mostly painted, so I can kind of throw them around. That's not a duffel bag, that's there. I went through my my stowage box and kind of picked up anything that I felt might be useful. By the time the Molly system came around, the Alice system was no longer in use. You could still find a couple old, you know, hanger-ons, but generally you wouldn't see it. The Marines, especially with the Marpat and everything that they were developing. Even though the example I'm using has Alice gear on it, it's also pre-2003. I can tell from the tires and wheels. Yeah, everything that's got service life extension wheels has this kind of pack on it, so we're gonna go with that. I'm going with that. And the crew I ordered is also a post-2003 crew. Yeah. That's my story and I'm sticking to it, damn it. Then I think it's starting to get that right amount of cluttered on it. It's not overdone yet, but it's not quite there yet. Actually, before I go further, I gotta paint these two jerry cans. That's another thing I forgot. And what is it with me being kind of forgetful today? Thanks again to everybody for hanging out. I do appreciate it. dark earth is not as bright. And I hope the madness I'm doing here makes sense once everything's all tied together, especially when the crew is in place. But the crew won't be here until, I want to say, Wednesday? So the crew is being delivered by Starfleet. Let me check on that real quick. Yeah, Wednesday. So Friday is probably going to be assembling and painting them. That'll be my next stream days, Friday this week. Okay. Now you probably go right there. Sometimes when I build these, I think I should plan ahead and just leave off certain points so I can just put these on better. You know what? I know it sounds stupid, but that actually works better like that. Almost like it's been tied to it. We are at 2 hours. I'm going to take another get up and move around break. I suggest you do the same, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I hope with everybody being so quiet, it's because you're all working on something. Come on, you want to fit right in there. Just like that. I'll have to have the wife run by Hobby Lobby tomorrow and grab me some kicker. Wake up, everybody. I don't know, you guys think I should give Alien Earth a chance when it comes out in 2 days? Yeah, just, I don't know. It feels like it wants to invalidate everything else. Maybe. You know, for as stuck in the nostalgia that Romulus was, I do have to give it credit for trying to incorporate the ideas from Prometheus and Covenant somehow. In a way that actually kind of made sense. It's not so much that they wanted the creature, but they wanted what made the creature, the goo. At the same time, it would have been nice to have seen that original creature going crazy again on the crew. I'll have to see how it starts, right? Because you could be right. It might be one of those things that you could actually see it as a standalone. In that from what I've seen, the alien isn't the worst thing. They're actually bringing back something else. The alien just happens to be part of the package. So it could be one of those subvert your expectation type scenarios too, which also isn't actually good, but okay, where do I want this? Where was I going to put this? I had an idea for it and then lost it. We're actually going to put you over here. Because the ship that crashes is carrying a lot of specimens, not just the alien. It's got like a few crates full of stuff. We'll have to see how far they go into the nostalgia bait. Kind of like how Romulus. That's one thing I've said since the beginning. Romulus overdid it with the nostalgia. They just went way too far with it. If they toned that down a little bit, they probably would have been all right. That almost looks just right. As much as I'd like to add duffel bags, I do want to add more to the turret, but what I want to add I don't have to wait on. I just don't like the duffel bags because, one, that, and two, they're very limited as to where I can fit them. These are made for more like something like being put on top of an Abrams, you know, so like that. They're not made to be put on a hull like this very easily. And they're not always there. Most times what I'm seeing from this generation onward, it's basically how I've got it set up. I see more water cans and jerry cans than I do the classic duffel bags. Those are more back in 2001 era. Or not 2001, 1991. Yeah, I think I'll probably just go with it as it is here. And with that, I'm going to start misting on some buff and deck tan as my base sand color. So I'll still be doing the water bottles, the boombox, and the cooler, but I want to have those on top and separate as just like a splash of color. So actually, before I even get to the dusting, I could almost bypass the oil wash with what I've got planned. I'm kind of operating out of order here on how I do things. Now let's throw the dull coat on, and then we'll start throwing the dust on. Actually, we'll be throwing the dirt on, then we'll be throwing the dust on. Dull coat, there you are. Hey, Arnie. I know, buddy. Hell, it's August. You're 19 now. Or 18. I forget. A little bit of shmoo on the needle that was causing it to stick. So let's clean off the shmoo. I even flooded this with some lacquer thinner before I put it away. So we're going to do some dull coat, and then I'm going to put I'm going to be using some Vallejo products, or a Vallejo product. It's called European Mud. So if you're to put this on straight, it dries with like a semi-gloss, muddy texture. But what we're going to do is we're going to use it as a color and foundation base for dirt that's been thrown up and then dried. And then once that's on, we're going to go back with the sand color and the dust colors, and we're going to mist that over it, and then we'll go in with our washes like this sand here, and where did it go? Yeah, oiled earth. And we're going to give it a nice, dirty feeling. Then after that, I can start putting the wheels on. Hello Asmo, welcome to the channel. For my flat coat, I'm using Createx Colors UVLS Clear. It's the only clear coat I can get that I trust the finish on. It's acrylic, it's compatible, airbrushes well, it stands up to the weathering nicely, and for what you pay, it's worth it. You get a pretty large bottle for $6.49 at Hobby Lobby, where Vallejo for $4 you get half the amount. But it goes on nice and even. I've used it on my past few builds. I didn't put that much in the airbrush to begin with. But one thing I've noticed about this clear coat, or this flat coat, is it puts on a good matte finish without frosting the surface too much, which means you retain your color depth and you don't lose the richness of the color, as opposed to, say, even like Vallejo or Poly S, their flat coat, if mixed wrong, can actually frost the model, which is not good. Some cases you can rescue it by putting a gloss coat back over it and redoing the flat. A lot of times though, you're stripping the model down. And before we get into the weathering portion, I've actually got to paint some details on the model. I've got to do headlights and taillights. And I think I'm even going to put in the clear for the periscopes. What you're seeing on the back of the tires is my solution to fitting them to the model. Found some styrene tube that fits in the axle holes on the front, and I just clipped the axles off the back wheels so they fit on properly on the rear. That way when I go to glue them on, they'll be relatively square and in the right places. On that, let's just put the rest of this on the model, make sure we got everything done. Make sure we got no shinies on the hull. Okay, that just looks like super glue kicker leaking out. Okay. Usually when I'm cleaning this one out, I swirl a brush around inside too to make sure if there's any, especially with clear coats, you can tell sometimes it dries on the edge of the cup as you're using it up, and that is what kind of makes the needle stick if you don't get it cleared out properly. Alright, have some fun. Yeah, it is 3 o'clock. I know I started late today. I may call it an early stream. 2.5 hours isn't bad, though. Got a lot done. Probably would not be a bad idea to let all this paint cure up and rest. So yeah, we'll probably call it a stream right here. That'll give me time to look for the STLs I need for the cooler, for the radio, maybe some other little things here and there that I can think of. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching. We're gonna shut her down a little early. Take it easy. If you've subbed or followed and I didn't notice, thank you very much, and I'll